The research-supported cause-effect essay. Man, wouldn't it be great to have a model student paper to help guide you on this project, on how to set it up, on how to use citations, on how to use source materials and integrate it with your own words and thoughts, how to format those sources. That would really be helpful. Hi everyone, this is David Taylor from the Effective Writing Center, and I've got some very good news for you. Not only do we have that model paper that we're going to go over word for word, paragraph by paragraph, citation by citation, we've also got a complete set of assignment instructions that we're going to analyze very carefully to make sure we're all on the same page before you start this assignment. So, sit back, relax, and let us get you off to a great start on the research-supported cause-effect essay. First, let's note that your task is to write an essay on either the causes or the effects. An essay of this length, 1,500 to 2,000 words, or 4 to 5 pages, is just too short to do both. Now, you're already familiar with writing in APA format. However, this APA paper will involve using sources, at least 6 of them, and at least 3 of them must be from scholarly journals. What does that mean exactly? Well, when you search for sources in a UMUC library, you first have a choice of journals only. In addition, when you receive your page of search results, you can click on a result that you think might be helpful, and you will arrive at its library record page. Let's look at this record page for the article Prescriptions for Punishment, Official Ideologies and Jail Overcrowding. As you can see, the title of the source is a hyperlink. If we click on that hyperlink, you will find out more about the journal, including its publication type, which as you see is academic journal. So keep this tool in mind when collecting your 6 sources, 3 of which must be from an academic journal. The assignment instructions provide some excellent examples of possible paper topics. Here is pipeline accidents. If you choose to write about causes, the effects of pipeline accidents would appear only briefly to help set things up in the introduction or conclusion. The body of this essay would outline, expose, and investigate the causes. It would be a cause essay. That's in contrast to an essay on the effects of exposure to a chemical. The body of the essay would focus only on the effects in detail. In terms of organization, you're still using the basic essay structure. An introduction paragraph with any background info that's needed, and that ends with the thesis. Then follow at least 3 body paragraphs, each of which would discuss either a cause, if you're writing a cause essay, or an effect, if you're writing an effect essay. The essay ends, of course, with a wrap-up conclusion paragraph. Point of view. This type of essay requires an academic style, which means using the third person throughout, no use of I or you. APA formatting. Please follow the guidelines in this video, with one major exception. No abstract page is required for this essay. The assignment instructions end with some excellent suggestions of possible topics in various fields. Reading through them, you notice that you can do either the causes or the effects, but not both at the same time. Okay, let's begin our review of this model paper on The Causes of Employee Turnover in the Food Service Industry by Katrina Glassel. The first thing you notice is that the title page is in perfect APA style. There is the word running in the top left, followed by the word head, then a colon, then a shortened title not to exceed 50 characters that is in all caps. Microsoft Word will try to use Calibri 11 point as the default, so make sure you change the font to what APA requires, Times New Roman 12 point, and that includes the page number that goes in the top right corner. Down in the approximate center of the page begins the info block, which is centered, double-spaced, and consists of 3 items only: the full title of the paper, your name, and the name of the school. Let's go to the first body page. As you see, the main title of the paper appears on top of the introduction paragraph. Then comes the introduction paragraph. Remember the funnel approach. Begin generally and gradually narrow down to the thesis statement. Let's see how this student does it. Employee turnover is an especially serious problem in the restaurant business, where turnover rates are among the highest in any industry. Sullivan, 2016. So, the student begins with a broad statement about the restaurant business backed up by a statistic. This serves as a strong hook because it so clearly establishes a problem. To keep staffing costs down and to retain good employees, a good manager or owner must work to address several turnover-related issues. Managers who neglect to address employee turnover will find themselves in a position of having either increased employee cost, decreased guest service, or both. Notice how the focus now shifts in the introduction to the manager. This shift becomes the basis of a transition phrase that integrates the last sentence or thesis sentence with the paragraph. Managers would be well advised to understand the most common causes of employee turnover in the food service industry, which are social stressors, lack of recognition, and inadequate compensation. Now that's a great thesis statement. This strong organization in the intro paragraph is continued with the use of an APA Level 1 heading to introduce the discussion of the first cause, social stressors. Notice that the heading is capitalized like a title, centered and bold-faced. Keep in mind that the use of subheadings is optional. Now let's read the first body paragraph. Social stressors are the #1 cause of employee turnover in the food service industry. Voila! A paragraph topic sentence that clearly announces the first cause to be discussed. Now comes the explain and support part of the paragraph. One survey found that social stressors can include employee-guest difficulties, employee-colleague difficulties, and employee-manager difficulties. Cao, Ching, Kuo, and Huang, 2014. Here we have the use of a source to support the point the author is making. Let's analyze the format of this in-text citation. First, note that the citation comes at the end of the sentence and that the period comes after the citation. This is very important to understand. An in-text citation can only apply to the sentence it is a part of. The next thing to notice about the citation is that it lists only the author's last names. No first names nor any initials are used in an APA in-text citation. Next, all authors' names are listed because there are less than 6 of them. Finally, the information taken from the source. Notice that it doesn't have quote marks, so we instantly know that the information has been put into the student writer's own phrasing. It is the student's paraphrase of the source, not a quotation. However, remember, any use of source material, summary, paraphrase, or quotation must always be cited. Let's continue reading. The survey also found that front of the house, FOH, workers are especially susceptible to social stressors because of their direct contact with guests as well as co-workers and managers. Now we know that the information in that sentence also came from the Cao, Cheng, Kuo, and Huang source because it began with the phrase, the survey also found. That's a clever way of signaling to the reader that you are continuing to use the same source. But it does it in a way that lets you avoid repeating the in-text citation. The paragraph ends with this transition sentence in the student's own language. The following social stressors cannot be entirely avoided, but they can be managed. With this sentence, the reader is alerted that a discussion of social stressors is about to happen. The first stressor is stated in the student author's own words as the topic sentence of the paragraph. Guests sometimes treat employees in food service poorly, insulting service workers, being rude or dismissive, or expecting services that are not reasonable. That topic sentence is immediately supported by sources, this time in the form of a quotation. Cao, Cheng, Kuo, and Huang, 2014, explained that, quote, deviant customers can deliberately and harmfully violate the generally accepted norms of conduct, page 759, period. Let's note the following about this source quote. First, the author's names are used as subjects of the verb explain. Cao, Cheng, Kuo, and Huang explain. Because the names are part of the sentence construction, they are not inside parentheses. Only the year of publication is. However, this is still an in-text citation. You've learned that in-text citations can appear in two different forms. One, author name or names appear inside the parentheses when the names aren't part of the sentence construction. The second format, the author name or names appear outside the parentheses when they're used in the phrasing of the sentence, leaving only the year inside the parentheses. One last point. Because the use of this source is a quotation, a page number or paragraph number must appear in parentheses at the end of the quotation. After the use of a quotation from a source, the student fills out the rest of the paragraph with her own examples from her own experiences and in her own words. Let's read. A common example is that servers, bartenders, hostesses, and other FOH workers often find themselves in the position of being in the middle of a conflict, with guests wanting or demanding something from them, and management or kitchen staff unwilling or unable to fulfill those requests. FOH staff must therefore often either tell a guest no, lie to a guest, or disobey their managers. This causes emotional stress for the employee, as well as often causing physical stress from running back and forth with requests and answers to those requests. Some employees who have trouble balancing guest needs decide to leave the restaurant industry for something with less direct customer interaction. Now, the thing to notice about this body paragraph is that it's a combination of the student author's claim, made at the beginning of the paragraph, supported by an academic source, as well as her own experiences. This use of the student's own words and thoughts makes the paper stronger than if there were just source after source. So when you write, remember you're writing your own essay with your own positions and conclusions, using citations to sources that helped you form and support your ideas. Let's look at the next body paragraph. In addition to social stressors caused by guests, notice the use of a transition phrase that helps signal the end of one discussion and the beginning of the next. In addition to social stressors caused by guests, all employees have a potential for stress caused by co-workers. Arguments over shared tasks are common in the food service industry. Sometimes one or two FOH employees find themselves doing all of the side work, such as filling ice bins, replacing condiments, polishing silverware, or any other joint task that must be done during a shift. Back-of-house BOH employees also have this issue, with some cooks or dishwashers doing more than their share of prep work and cleaning, while others slack off. Some hardworking employees can find themselves at odds with others who take cigarette breaks or use their phone during work hours. The entire paragraph so far is based on the student writer's own analysis, knowledge, and experience, and is expressed entirely in the student's own language. But wait, isn't this a research-supported essay? Might this be the time to bring in another voice, the voice of a published expert, to help back up these points? Yes, it is. And here are those experts. Ellingson, Tews, and Dochner, 2016, found that employees who feel they're doing more than their share of work may leave a business for another opportunity. On the other hand, the authors also found that employees who forge healthy social relationships with co-workers are more likely to stay with a business. This time you should immediately recognize the tricks that the student author is using. Last names of the authors integrated with the sentence. Since the names are part of the sentence, they are not inside parentheses, only the date is. And then notice the second trick. On the other hand is a nice transition phrase, and then there is the clever, the authors also found. That allows the student to use the source again, but without an in-text citation, because the reader knows exactly which authors are being referred to. We see the same pattern in the paragraph about the third social stressor. First comes the paragraph topic sentence. The third type of social stressor involves managers and supervisors. Then comes the student's own explanation, examples, and insights. and those are followed by the use of sources to back it all up. Let's look at how those sources are used. Especially problematic, say Nishi and Mayer, 2009, is any perception of racial or gender-based inequality. The authors assert that inclusive leadership is vital in maintaining a diverse workplace and reducing group turnover. Note the technique of integrating the author's name into the sentence and then a reference back to them in the next sentence to avoid a second in-text citation. Then the paragraph ends with another source, this time with the author not a part of the sentence and only identified at the end. One study suggests that, to know how employees feel, managers should have a retention dialogue with employees. Burns, 2015. You see, the student writer has blended the two types of in-text citation into a single paragraph to add variety and to avoid redundancy. Next comes an APA Level 1 heading to signal we're moving to another major cause that will be discussed in a new section of the paper: absence of positive recognition. The use of sources is quite clever in this paragraph. Let's examine the techniques. Lack of positive recognition is another factor in employee turnover. There's our clear paragraph topic sentence that serves as an umbrella for the entire paragraph. Now comes a discussion of the paragraph's main point. Recognition can be one of the simplest things for a manager to do well, yet it is often overlooked in the busy and fast-paced environment of a restaurant. Employee recognition can be as simple as a verbal thank you, or can involve formal programs such as Employee of the Month. Now comes source support of this main point. Ford, Sturman, and Heaton, 2012, report on a survey that found about 90% of U.S. companies have recognition programs, with about 70% having both formal and informal recognition opportunities. Page 236. The student then follows up on that use of a source by making a comment in her own words that helps set up the conclusion of the paragraph and another use of the source. Companies that do not make employee recognition a priority will find themselves losing employees due to a perception that the company doesn't care about them or appreciate their hard work and dedication. Ford et al. 2012 also assert that individual recognition is especially important to the millennial generation, who are more used to being rewarded for their accomplishments. The authors warn, quote, "At least some of your competitors will always seek to hire your best people." End of quote, page 223. Please note two important things about the paragraph you just read. First, it follows the same structure we've been seeing over and over in these body paragraphs. State the main point, discuss the main point in your own words, support your discussion with a source. Second, note how in the entire paragraph only one source, Ford, Sturman, and Heaton, was used. This same source was used 3 times. However, the same in-text citation format was never used more than once. In the first usage, all 3 author names were part of the sentence. The second time, Ford et al. Was used. You can use et al., which is an abbreviation for et alia, which is Latin for and others, for any source with 3 or more authors that you've already referred to once. And the last time, the student simply said the authors as a way of referring back to Ford, Sturman, and Heaton. So once again, you're seeing good technique at work. The remainder of the paper employs these good techniques. Here is another APA Level 1 subheading to signal the beginning of the discussion of the third cause, lack of employee training and development. The body paragraph structure follows the same formula as we've seen before. State the main point, discuss the main point in your own words, bring in a source to support your discussion and insights. Mix up the way that in-text citations are employed to achieve variety. Here is one last technique that we have not yet covered: the indented quotation. The APA guideline is that any quotation longer than 40 words must begin on a new line and be set off an additional half-inch from the left. Also notice, since the quotation is already set off in this manner, it does not require quotation marks. Let's end this discussion by looking at the Well Done References page and notice the following traits. The references are on a page by themselves after the last body page. The word references appears centered at the top of the page and is not bold-faced. Double spacing is maintained at all times, and each reference citation uses hanging indentation, which means all lines except the first are indented a ½ inch from the left. There are 3 basic citation types. First is the online article that has a DOI, Digital Object Identifier. Our example here is Ellingson, Tews, and Dockner. Note that the final author's name is joined with the others with an ampersand in a reference citation. After the author names and initials comes the year of publication, then the article's title, which is punctuated like a sentence. Only the first word and any proper nouns are capitalized. Then the title of the publication where the article was found, in this case, the Journal of Applied Psychology, its volume, issue, and page numbers of the article, then the DOI. If the article you retrieved from the library does not have a DOI, your only other choice for retrieval information is the URL of the publication's home page. You can see this in the Burns source. When there is no DOI, simply put the words retrieved from followed by the URL of the publication's home page, which in this case is restauranthospitality.com. Be sure not to put a period after a URL. This author also used some books. Remember that the title of a book is punctuated like a sentence and italicized because it is a source. Remember, we at the Effective Writing Center are always around 24/7 to give you feedback on your writing during any stage. Our service is free and it's fast. We return all drafts with full commentary within 48 hours. Okay, good luck and have fun.